Hi everyone, I'm Jessie. My project will focus on why are there few male nurses. When people mention the nursing profession, they think it's a female profession. With the development of the times, people are also working hard to current the gender stereotypes of nurses, thereby expanding the number of male nurses. But how big is that gap between the number of male and female nurses and their salary? Why are most men unwilling to be nurses? How much do people's stereotypes about the nurses' gender affect them? And I need to mention that in order to make a more accurate comparison, the project will eventually focus on the comparison of male and female nurses in various regions of Australia in 2018. The first um, is to acquire. In order to understand whether the scarcity of male nurses exist in many regions. I investigated the situation in the WHO region in 2018. It's confirmed that the phenomenon exists in many areas. In order to gain insight into Australia, I got the number of male and female nurses in various regions of Australia from 2012 to 2018. Although the number of male and female nurses has increased year by year, but the number of male nurses is very small. Then I investigated the number of male and female nurses in various regions of Australia in 2018. Then, because the total number of people in each region is different, I got the percentage of men and women in each region. In order to learn more, I found the number of male and female students in nursing. There are still more women than men, and this is still a statistic about the students in nursing. Is this because the income is not high enough? So I found the average annual income of male and female nurses in 2018. It was found that the income of male nurses is slightly higher than that female nurses in 2018. It was found that the income of male nurses is um, slightly higher than that of female nurses. But I have one question. Why men still don't want to be a nurse with high income? So I looked for an interview with 498 male nurses in 2005 and found that most people believe that the profession of nurses was a female profession. But for people today, there's still such a prejudice. So I found 100 users from some forums of Australian to make statistics on whether they support men as nurses, the reasons, and whether these biases will affect them. The picture on the right one is 100 data collected by me. Next, parsing. First of all, I use the alphabet arrangement to compare the proportion of male nurses and female nurses with the income of male nurses. Because I want to know whether income is the main factor causing the shortage of male nurses. Due to the excessive changes in this data, it's not easy to check it, and this is a little bit confusing for visitors. So I used the hierarchy method to rank and compare the income of these regions from high to low. This is obviously better than last one. Then I used the category method to summarize the 100 data I investigated. This one is about whether they support men to be a nurse. Obviously, most men don't support it. I classified the reason why they didn't support it. There are gender discrimination, occupation discrimination, nurse is a female occupation, male negative stereotype, and need for same-sex nurse, and lack of male nurse role model. This part is my classification. standard, the data shows that most people think that nurses are female occupations. Finally, it's about whether these prejudice affect them as a male nurse. The answer given by the data is yes. Next, I will filter the above data. In the survey of the number of male and female nurses in 2018, some areas were shown as not stated in the original data, but the total number of people in the area couldn't be surveyed and I deleted them. And these two data are a comparison of male and female nurses. In the male to female ratio, it's obvious that the number of female nurses far exceeds the number of male nurses. In the average annual income, male nurses are slightly higher than female nurses. Therefore, there is still a gap in the number of and the salary of male and female nurses. The reason for comparing the proportion of male nurses with the average annual income of male nurses is to understand whether income is the main reason for the men to join the for refusing to join the nursing profession. So this part doesn't need the female nurses part. From this chart, it can be found that male nurses, the income level may affect the number of people, such as Northern Territory. However, for Western Australia, the amount of income has little to do with the number of men participating in profession. In order to further determine whether income is the main reason for men's participation in the nursing, I collected the average annual total income the various regions that year. The data is displayed in descending order of average annual income for each region. Statistics show that the average annual income of all areas in region is lower than that of male nurses. It can be seen that the income of male nurses is very optimistic. Income is not main reason why men don't want to be a nurse. Oh, sorry. This is the income is not the main reason for men's participation in the nursing passion in the nursing profession. In this 100 men in this 100 data, many people talked about the need for same-sex nurses. This actually belongs to traditional thinking about the gender of men and women. It is not true views of male nurses, so it's beyond the scope of this discussion. At the time, both occupational discrimination and gender discrimination are classified as discrimination. According to the data, 60% of them were used to enter the nursing profession. It can be seen that people still have prejudice against the entering the nursing. It can be seen from the support or not. The chart show that the proportion of men don't want to don't support becoming male nurses is greater. Simultaneously, data show that most people don't support men becoming male nurses because nurses are female. This data is about whether men are willing to be a nurse. So all men who were tested, I move it out. Despite all kinds of prejudice against the male nurses, will this affect the men who want to be a nurse? According to the data, most of them refuse to enter the nursing. It can be seen that people still have prejudice against the nursing profession, At the same time, combined with the survey results of the opinion of 498 male nurses in 2005, it's now difficult to find that this kind of prejudice against the nursing profession has always existed. This shows the prejudice is the main reason for the lack of male nurses. So, through the comparison of all data I found that in Australia in 2018, there is still a big gap between men and women in the nursing. The income of male nurses is now the main reason for the shortage of male nurses. The main reason is that people have various prejudices against the male nurses. This is my audience. They both like to visit exhibition and they both have own idea about male nurses. Now I will introduce my design directions. Here I will use metaphor to design because I think the prejudice just like a obstacle. So according to the metaphor, I have one idea. The first one, this is a device I designed. A region in Australia is represented by this set of devices. The eight regions of Australia will be displayed in the exhibition hall, which means that there will be 8 such installations just like this one. At the same time, each device contains the percentage of the number of male and female nurses, the average annual income of male and female nurses, people's views on male nurses. In this way, visitors can make comparison based on the relevant data of male and female nurses in various regions. Now I need to explain more. One is here. The flag on the top of the mountain represents the profession that climbers want to join to be a nurse. And the yellow climber here, this is 2. The yellow climber represents women who want to be a nurse, and the blue climber is here, is 3. Is represent a male who want to be a nurse, and the backpack is 4. Carried by climbers represented people's prejudice against them becoming a nurse. And 5 is here. The smaller the slope of the mountain, the greater the number of people participating in the profession. Because the competition is fiercer, it makes it difficult for climbers. 6 is here, is a hat. The average annual income of men and women in the nurse profession depends on the altitude of the climber. If the average annual income of nurse is high, his position will be high because this is a factor that motivates them to become nurse. And this is the effect shown in the exhibition. There are 2 buttons in the platform. Visitors need to answer the questions I mentioned and press the buttons. Questions like, which gender do you have prejudice as a nurse? If the answer is male, and they need to press the blue one. If the answer is female, they need to press the yellow one. After pressing, visitors can see the burden on the back of the mountain climbing person in the picture will become larger and larger, which means that more and more prejudice are hindering him. At the same time, the male and female climbers on the device will lower his position accordingly. I will set this device as long as it exceeds a certain number of people. For example, if 50 people complete this interaction, the device will return to its original state. This is to ensure that the device can be continuously provided to visitors for interaction. Start again every 50 people. And the background will record statistics in units of 50 individuals. About the second idea, um, the second concept is that the same set of the devices represents a region, and there will be 8 regions on set, which means there will be 8 devices. This is one devices and only for one region. And I need to explain. The one is here. The yellow bird represents the men who are ready to become a nurse, because most women are more inclined to the nursing profession. The yellow bird is bigger, so yellow bird is bigger. The blue bird represents here too. Represents the male who is ready to become a nurse. Since there are currently fewer men in the nursing, that says the bird will be smaller. And 3 is here, the hand. The hand represents people's prejudice against men in the nursing, so people tie the bird with a rope. The more prejudice, the greater the number of hands. On the contrary, the less. The rope 4 is the rope. The rope represents the current income of male and female nurses. The longer the rope, the more income, because the income is driving force of the profession. The sky represents the nursing area. And visitors at the scene can interact by turning the hand view. This is hand view. Visitors need to turn the hand view. According to my question, do you have a prejudice against the men or women in the nursing profession? If your answer is sorry, here is a answer, not you are a male. If your answer is a male, you need to turn the blue hand view clockwise. If your answer is female, you need to turn the yellow one. When the visitors turns clockwise, one more hand will appear at here. At the same time, the bird will fly in motion. When one more hand holds the rope, the bird will be dragged downward. Similarly, I will set 50 people as a unit for background statistics. This is my second one. The third one, the same as before, it will has 8 devices, and this one is one installations, because this is the blue one for the male, and this is the yellow one for the female. And next I will introduce one is here is the rope. The rope represents the whether people have prejudice against the men and women in the nursing. If there is a prejudice against the male nurses, visitors can hang the rope on the device like this, with the blue wooden boards. It's this one. If the answer is about the female, they need to hang the rope on the device with the yellow one. It's this one. And 2 is here. So 2 is here. An area in the exhibition hall will provide 2 devices like the one shown on the right. It means it means this one. The yellow wooden boards represent female nurses. The blue wooden boards represent male nurses. 3 is here. The board, the head of the colored board will be determined by the number of male and female nurses. The more people there are, the higher the head of the board. 4 is this board. This board is gray board is totally different. This board. The gray board will be determined by the current salary status of men and women. The higher the salary, the smaller head of the board. On the 5 is the circle. Here is the place where you can hang the rope. 6 is here. It means the whole device represents the nurse profession. At the scene, I will provide visitors with a question, just like before. Are you more biased towards the men becoming nurses or more biased towards women becoming nurses? If visitors have a prejudice against the men becoming nurses, they can put a rope in the box next to them and hand them up. Box is here to hand that. On the contrary, women is the same as men. Visitors can drill through the part of the device that has no rope, blank. It means here. This is visitor. This is the blank. Visitor will find that although the difference in the number of male and female nurses and their income will cause some obstacles to crossing, the most organized crossing is actually the rope. Yeah, actually is the prejudice. The ropes are controllable. The more the prejudice, the smaller gaps in the installation. The gap is here is gap. All questions or text descriptions will be displayed on the wall on the left. It's here, and the visitors can go across this gap. Yeah, this is my reference list. Thank you.